So what we're going to do here is we take in some drawings, and these are drawings by an artist called Kennedy. He made them in 1982, and I found a whole lot of these prints in St. Stephen's College archives, and the archivist Mary Reynolds, Dr. Mary Reynolds, donated it to the art department. And I thought what we'll do is we'll take these drawings and make them into something, push them to another level by adding color in a sort of watercolorish kind of technique, just to give them some pop and then give them some personal, emotive attitude, and then basically let it flow from there using watercolor techniques. But the sort of switches is that we're going to be using acrylic. I'm going to only use 4 colors, and that's the primaries in pigment and the primaries in light. And all you need is some brushes with nice soft hair. So I've got a fine brush, and then I've got 2 big broad brushes to be bold. We've got some water, we've got a palette where I can put the color into. In this case, we're not going to be mixing colors, but just actually putting them on. And we explore the different techniques. We'll explore the technique of wet on wet, which is a watercolor technique, dry on wet, wet on dry, and then just basically some applications, and then going towards detail and see what we arrive at. Alright, so the first step is to find the print that you enjoy. Obviously this could be your own drawing that you could do in either pencil or pen. If it's pencil, it could be a good idea to just fix it first, but it's not necessary as well. You might want to blend the pencil lines. This one I'm using is on print on beautiful paper, so I think we can just go straight into it, and let's do the wet on wet technique. Since it's an architectural scene, and with most or paintings, it's always recommended when you're working in this kind of methodology that you start with the background. So we'll start with the sky. So I'm going to need a basic blue. Obviously I could use a more customized blue. In this case I'm just going to use a basic one. And you wet the area that you want to put your color into, and you do it in a very broad way. Don't be too fussy. Put the water in, try and get it, this is where the sky is going to be. Now the thing about the sky is that it's going to be lighter towards the horizon and darker as one moves up. So give it a little bit of a test, and then basically let the colors flow with the water that's already on the paper. So this is a wet on wet technique. And you work quite quickly, and because it's going only where I put water, it's running into blending into where the water area is. You don't really need to worry, just to concentrate on getting your thicknesses right, how much pigment you have. If you've got too much pigment in the area, like this is going towards our horizons, I'm going to try and push it away a little bit, and I'm going to push more pigment into the sky so that it's darker as it moves away from the horizon, which is natural to what we see. And there we go. Now you can't really carry on working until this is dried, and that's part of the technique. So once we're happy with this, we can now move to the next area. What I Forgot to mention, it's always good to have some cotton wool or cloth, so that you can just pick up any areas or lighten any areas that you're not quite happy with. And so here I'm just going to try and get my sky a bit lighter towards the base and try and get an effect into the sky with the cloth. And there we have it. Right, so now I'm going to move on to the second drawing. It's also a beautiful drawing of St. Stephen's College Chapel, and I'm just going to repeat the process again. As I said, I'm just doing the sky. It's always nice to do a whole bunch of these drawings using this process at once, and it's a process that goes right back to the early stages of photography, when photography was only black and white, and the photograph, people would want obviously color in their photographs, and so various artists and designers would hand color the photographs. Okay, so I've put on the water, got a nice basis for the color to run into. Apply the color boldly, you know, even going where the water didn't go, it doesn't really matter, as long as I'm happy with the visual results. A bit of bleed is quite important in this technique, and bleed is when the color runs outside the lines. Creates a sense of spontaneity, which is what one wants. And obviously I'm not happy with my little drop that fell there, but later hopefully we'll be able to get rid of it. And in this case, the sky, now I'm happy with this kind of sky. It's got a strange effect to it. Obviously most of the pigments run into the warp of the paper. I could stretch the paper and that would remove the warps, but since it's not a high quality paper such as a Fabriano with a very thick millage, I'm quite happy with that. Okay, so the third drawing, because this is a series of drawings that the artist did, and they all love the chapel sort of area and the sports fields. We'll see the fourth one is going to be a bit different. So the first two of the chapel, sorry, these two of the chapel, and the first one was of what was the library and the building, which in the future could become anything. Okay, so once again I put in the water for the sky where I want the pigment to bleed. You'll notice my water is not quite clean, but I'm not worrying about that because it just will add. And yeah, there we go. It's into our third one. This time more dramatic application. Let's make a more sort of exciting cloud, sky. A lot of more movement and brush stroke in the sky. I don't really want thick acrylic paint on any of this, because then we would be overpainting, and normally you would do your thick layers. If you're going to put in any relief layers, you would do that at the end. Okay, so here I'm just allowing the colors to blend towards the chapel roof. And that's the chapel in the distance with some science blocks there, and this is the tree down to chapel circle and the drive with various trees subsequently gone. Replaced by just grassland. Right, and there we go. This one I might want to just alter the brush marks by tapping in with a bit of a brush, give it a bit of an effect in the sky with my cloth. And that's the third one. So right, so now we move on to the fourth one. And oh, there's a bit of dirt getting in there. Once again, I start with my wash. Oh, now the water's getting a bit of a color, so actually now I'm putting wet color on wet color, not water on color, which is cool because now I know how far to go down. What I like about this composition is it's got distance and it's also got very much close-up, which makes it quite interesting. I prefer the compositions that have these close images breaking in. It's very Rococo-ish in technique, but very effective to make you focus. Okay, the idea is not really to paint in the margins. Nice to leave those areas white, but mistakes have happened. It happened in the first one, the second one, and I got a few drops in the third one, which I'm not too happy about. I should really take more care about that, because that's just a bit sloppy. Although we want to be free and brushful, we don't want to be sloppy. Right, so now I've sort of created a sort of darker blue on the outside and less blue towards the center. I'm just obviously a little bit concerned it's too light here, but let's hope that works out because I don't want it too dark. Take my cloth again, and yeah, I really want to leave some of the white paper more in the center. Don't be scared of leaving the white paper. Okay, so that's the first 4 drawings transformed into paintings, or colored into color works, painted works, and yeah, we'll carry on with the next session tomorrow. This has to now dry and must be perfectly dry before we do our next layers, although we won't be painting close to this layer, but just in case, we want it to be perfectly dry, and then we'll move on to the next layer tomorrow. We've got 4 colors, so it's 4 days work basically. Thank you.